child, I was running around the city with my parents, and with 10 years old, I got kind of ashamed that my parents were buying me when I was going to the store and buying clothes. Looking back, this was completely normal for a 10-year-old to go shopping with his parents. But for me back then, I was kind of scared that the others might see me and think I'm uncool. Because I had watched all these high school movies in which the supposed teenagers were independent and like in no high school movie there's actually a storyline with the parents, right? So I was kind of gaslighted into thinking that the parents of you should not play parts in your life. So I got kind of distant to my parents. Of course, it's normal for guys that are developing themselves or children in general to take more and more space away from their parents. That's how they grow up. But for me, it was like trying to cut them out of my life, not going into the city with them, and rather staying at home than to have the chance I might be seen by one of the top athletes. That would tell something about me in school. I think we don't appreciate our parents enough. We might say, thank you for cooking, but when's it might be just me, but when's the last time you actually bought your parents a gift? Was it the last time to some holiday like Christmas? Or have you actually gone out of your way to kind of show your mother love? Because you have to realize if you want to show a girl you like them and you would express love in your own way, like gifting quality time. But then mothers act in a similar way. Like they also want to be loved. Like there's the romantic love and then there's the family love. I don't know what the scientific word for it is, but your mother also wants to feel loved by her children. And that you can also do by gifts and quality time, etc. So it's not just staying in your room the whole day, making her feel as though she actually has no son, but it's rather to go up with her, maybe even do some deep conversations. Like 3 days ago, I actually had the first deeper conversation with my mother in the last 2 months. And we were talking about health and how we can kind of influence our brains to get us into better performing moods, even though we just change our mindsets, perhaps. And right there, it kind of clicked like, why would you not talk to your parents? So if you don't talk to your parents a lot, actually reconsider how you make them feel liked, how you make them feel in general. Like, are you the good son that tries to make them happy and make their life easier, or are you just the guy that takes the Christmas presents but has nothing to do with them really, except for draining out their money, draining out their fridge? Because we as children, like if we look into the kind of Asian culture in China, I had a monk saying that in China the children are kind of in debt to their parents money wise. So they would actually live with their parents and take care of them when they are so old that they can't work anymore. So it kind of balances out that the parents watched out for the kids the whole time, and now the kids watch out for the old parents who also can take care of themselves. In the West, we don't really have that, right? So we kind of rent, and sometimes the grown-up children then drive to their parents and kind of check in on them, like how they are doing, but they don't really cook for them or try to get their garden up, try to spend a lot of time with them. Like the time as adults, like you could kind of think about this. We have this picture that we would rather be with our partner during that time. We don't really have this strong family unit that we all live in the same house, like multiple generations. But now think about what your parents have done for you. They've probably moved to another city to get a better job or even a house that is good for you. Like maybe when you were born, they actually moved to a bigger city because they had an apartment that was too small for a kid growing up. And they have actually spent a lot of time trying to learn with you. if you have good parents. And then they do so many micro things to express love to you that we they express so much love that we don't really pick up on anymore because we've gotten that used to it. So I just want to do a little wake up call. I don't get paid by my parents to say this, by the way. It's just that I've realized for myself that I don't give enough to my parents. Like 1 month ago, I was in a luxury sweets shop in my little city, bought a little package of sweets, like special sweets. And I had the audacity to put it in front of my mother and show it to her, even though it was meant for the girl I was seeing as a gift. And she kind of lit up when I put this in front of her, and she was happy. And she thought that I had thought of her and gave her this gift. And then I said, "Oh no, actually, it's not for you." And she just, "Oh yeah, okay." This was kind of the moment where it flipped for me. That I'm actually an asshole. Like, of course, she would want to have gifts from time to time too. So maybe buy flowers if you have the time. Maybe buy some chocolate. Maybe write a nice little letter for her so that she feels like she's being thought of. Imagine what life would be without your mother if she just died in a car accident. She's normally sitting in this one spot in your house, right? For me, she always sits in the kitchen. And now imagine if she just wasn't there anymore. This would be weird, right? Something would be missing out of your house. And in general, of course, it's a massive impact if your parents just died, of course. But you would be missing a lot more if they were just gone from the 1 second. Like, visualize this. She's not there anymore, okay? She won't set up the breakfast anymore. She won't cook lunch for you. She can't clean the rooms anymore. She actually isn't there to listen to you when you've got a problem in school. Imagine how much of your life would actually be gone, be different if your mom disappeared. And with that visualization, I want to show you what you can be grateful for right now. And so if she is amazing at cooking, then you can say, "Thanks, mom. I really appreciate that you always cook this healthy stuff for us. And that you also get it really delicious. I appreciate that." And then you can kind of see in her face, like, "Oh, well, this is kind of specific. Thanks, Bob." So please, especially in this generation right now where everybody wants to be cool and the main character, we overlook our parents completely because we are too in our heads with ourselves. We are not the guys that we should be thinking about all the time. Our parents will be old and will die soon, so they might need a lot of more attention from us. Imagine if they put you into this world to raise you up, and with 12 years old, you actually distance yourself so much that they actually felt as though they had missed a massive part of your development. So they would just say, "Okay, so this is what I raised a child for." Get into the positions of your parents. Like, they will always try to make you happy. And then if you're kind of distant, like, they will think that's the phase you're just going through and it will end eventually, but it a lot of the time does. But a lot of, but let's be honest, it's unnecessary sometimes. If you think back to a couple years ago, then you distanced yourself so much from your parents that you were actually afraid of your schoolmates to see them pick you up, to be sitting in a restaurant with them. So, what actually is wrong with the society and with the Western movies? In China, for example, it's totally fine to live with your parents still. And now here in the West, we say, "Oh no, move out with 20 years old, or else you're never going to get a wife." What? these are these are our parents, our family. Imagine if you had this big family dynamic with your grandparents even still in the house. Imagine imagine how much it's more of a friendship dynamic in family then, but how much you would pick yourselves up and get yourselves well because all the time you have this deep connection with you that you actually can visualize your mission. Like in our generation, you see a lot of directionless and purposeless guys, right? Vaping, taking drugs. Maybe it actually comes from not spending so much time with the family, that they actually think they are their own individuals and that they can shape themselves how they want, which is true to an extent, but still, if they had the parents in mind, they could still pick up the values that they would have liked to give them. And with that, they could you could see how they would develop better, right? So it's not that we should cut out our parents entirely. It's also not that we should just stick to them. It's that we get this healthy distance, but also appreciation for them. That we express love back. These were just thoughts popping up over the day, and I think it will be helpful to some guys who kind of put their family on the backbone, who spend more time at sleepovers than eating dinner with the family. Eventually, eventually you will have a family too. And imagine, like, would you want the children that are grateful to you, or would you want the children that are kind of the, I don't know how to say it, it's like, or would you rather have the children that kind of do everything themselves and try to learn themselves and don't ask for advice? Like, we as young guys, we want to give advice, right? And basically, my whole YouTube channel is giving advice, really. This is a lot of fun, and obviously, we want to contribute to generations to come, right? We want to kind of improve themselves and get them out of the problems that we had. With the digitalization, our parents didn't have anything to do with that, right? So they couldn't help us with our video game addictions, with the content scrolling now and the brain rot. This is a new hindrance that we as the first generation probably have to overcome. Imagine your children would just be on video games all the time and you see they are wasting their lives. Like my father saw this in my youth, that I was just playing video games the whole time. But he of course didn't know how to deal with it. So I kind of know now, if my kid gets addicted to video games, he first of all gets a big slap, but second of all, we know that we would know that we could get his life to be a video game and then he would actually have fun in that. So to be honest, I'm kind of excited for fatherhood. I'm not the man I want to be just yet, but I think that even just the thought of having like a little version of me in 5 years, that this will motivate me to such a greater extent that I can grow quicker. We want to grow quick as young men, right? So why don't we put in all these different factors, like the right friends, the right girlfriends in a positive relationship, the parents that we look at and say we want to live up to them so we can make them proud as well. To look at our children that will eventually come, that they can say, oh yeah, my dad's the strongest, my dad is stronger than yours. Say hello to your mother from me, and I wish you good luck, yeah, that you can see how much the family bond is actually meaning in this modern world, and that we kind of overlook it. Have a good evening, brother.